Okay, we're back. We're looking at page 19 of this week's handout, and we have a map here. The title of the map says U.S. Land Acquisition. We may know or we may not know what acquisition means. Remember, I don't want us to worry about that right away because we're trying to keep our confidence high. And we see there is a compass rose in the bottom left-hand side. Notice the compass rose is tilted a little bit because remember, if the map is of a big enough area, north is not going to be up because the world is a globe. So if we're talking about an area, north is not going to be straight up, it's going to be there to the North Pole, north, right? Okay, so it's tilted a little. We also have a scale of miles down there if we need to measure distance. And interestingly enough, we don't have a map key on this map. Isn't that weird? No map legend or key. Because the labels on the map are going to be explaining what we need to know. Now let's take a look at the map. You can see there are different colored areas on the map, and each colored area has a label in it. So if you look at the colored area on the East Coast, it says ceded by Britain. So let's not worry about what ceded means for a minute. And then the big space in the middle says Louisiana Purchase. And notice they each have years. 1783, 1803, 1848, 1819. So we can tell that things happened over time on this map. Some things happened in 1783, some things happened in 1803, and we can put those year dates in order if we need to, right? Okay, so this is another way to show movement, in this case not only over space, like movement over the space of the United States area, or what later becomes the United States, but also over time, from this date to this date to this date to this date. So even though we don't have arrows on this map, we are seeing movement or change over time. So let's see if we can not worry about what the word seed means for a few minutes and what acquisition means, and just look at the questions, look at the map, and see what we can find out. All right, question number 3 says, which statement best describes the map? A, the map shows western expansion between 1803 to 1853. Well, the dates on the map don't just go from 1803 to 1853, do they? The oldest date, the farthest back in time date, is 1783. So this is probably not the right answer. B, the map illustrates the acquisition of territories between 1783 and 1853. Well, there's that word, acquisition, and the dates there are the earliest and latest dates that we see on the map if we look around. So that's a possible answer. C, the map shows the battles fought for western expansion. Well, look at the map. Is there anything there that says anything about a battle? No. So that can't be what this map is showing us. And D, the map shows the sequence of events that led to eastern expansion. Well, this is a bit problematic if we're not sure what expansion is, and if we don't know that what later becomes the United States, the first settlers settled on the East Coast and expanded or spread to the West Coast. So we didn't start on the West and expand to the East. If we didn't know that, we would be able to tell by the dates. The earliest dates are in the East, the later dates after that are in the West. So that makes B the most likely answer, okay? Number 4, based on the information on the map, when was much of the land west of the Mississippi first opened for settlement? So find the Mississippi River on the map. You can see where that is. It's right in between the area ceded by Britain and the Louisiana Purchase. That's labeled the Mississippi River. And based on this map, when was the land to the west of it, the west of the Mississippi River, when was it first opened? So if we look at that land west of the Mississippi River, we see the date 1803 is the earliest date there. So that must mean that B is the answer, 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase. Okay, now the first one, A, 1783, the land ceded by Britain was what is not west of the Mississippi River, that's east of the Mississippi River. So even though that's got an earlier date, that can't be the right answer. Number 5, which nation ceded the least amount of land to the United States? There's that word again, ceded. Okay, now, if we look at the map, we see the word ceded, and we see the word cession, C-E-S-S-I-O-N, that looks like it must mean something the same as ceded. But we probably need to know what ceded means at this point. So to cede something means to give it up, to give it over, to give it to. So if I accede to your argument, I give in to your argument. If I precede my sister into the room, I go before her. I give up before her, or I go before her. So to cede means to give up or to move, actually, but in this case, to give up. So which nation ceded the least amount of land to the United States? Which nation gave up the least amount of land according to this map? So we see a bunch given up by Britain, a bunch was given up by Mexico, but the nation on here that gave up the smallest amount of land, if we look over the map carefully, is Spain. So the best answer there is Spain. Number 6, which of the following states was included in the Mexican Cession of 1848? So find that part of the map, but, there are no names of states on here. So this just shows you again why it's so important to use that Shepherd Software Games, play those games until you really know the names of the states, where they are, okay, and what their postal codes are. So if we know the states, we can see in the Mexican Cession, California, Nevada, Arizona, part of New Mexico, Utah, part of Colorado. We can see those states. So Florida is not in that section. Illinois is not in that section. Oklahoma is not in that section, but California is in that section. So D is the only possible answer. Number 7, how many years elapsed, how many years passed between the first and last cessions of British land? So the first cession of British land is over on the East Coast, that's 1783. We also see on the map that Britain gave some territory on the West Coast, the Oregon Territory. So just use the dates, 1846 minus 1783. Do the math. That gives us answer D, 63 years. All right. And 8, which of the following nations ceded the most land along the Gulf of Mexico? So find the Gulf of Mexico on the map. It's in the lower right-hand side. And then look at who gave up land along the Gulf of Mexico and which of the nations gave up the most land along there. We see most of it. Look at the east coast of Texas, or the eastern side of Texas. That was given up by Spain. This little chunk there is given up by Spain. A little tiny bit of it is part of the Louisiana Purchase. And then all of Florida came from Spain. So Spain is the country that gave up the most land to the U.S. along the Gulf of Mexico. All right, we're going to end there, come back on another video for the other two pages. All right?